Oh, there we go. All right, our run sponsor, Alexander Trent from Goosehead Insurance. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Beach Hut Deli, we're gonna allow. So
Oh my God. Yes.
make sure you get some. So.
And there's people from the mortgage company that dropped in this, so yeah.
Okay, good to know. Thank you very much. I think CPA liability. Please make sure that you follow that. I've been sued before, I won, but.
Not fun.
Just make sure it's not fun. It's real, so.
It's very
Very real thing. Also, it's not up here to Can Spam Act, so if you're sending emails out, you have to make sure they have a way to opt out. Cannot be misleading, and you have to make sure you have a physical business address in your signature line. So, super important. Tell me something good. Who's got something good to tell me this week?
Carlos, you have a listing.
We're not putting you on the spot or anything right off the bat.
Yeah.
I've been doing it for 13 years, so it doesn't matter.
And he always left every time.
Anything good? What's going on with rates?
They're rising. Oh.
Rising because it's setting the new standard for what's gonna happen next year, right? I mean, it is their solution, so.
Yeah.
we're fine.
Yeah, they
So
are.
we're doing temporary loans because we know they're gonna refinance in
Yeah.
2025. They're expecting, the rates to come
We're
down.
gonna
Be
get-
normalized around that.
So here's the good news. With rates rising, all of the prices, you're worried about debt to income ratios, that side of things, right? FHA has a new program that we can use a verification of employment only for income. No pay stubs, no W-2s, no bank statements, no nothing.
Transcripts, no.
Are we going back to 09? What just happened?
You're telling your buyers to bribe their employer. I think that's it.
I mean, seriously, they just have to be working at the same employer for 2 years, you're done.
Wow.
Easy, done. No inflated rates, no nothing.
What's the down payment, something like that?
3.5% down. FHA, it's an FHA loan.
Wow.
That is good. John, you have something good?
2 days from now, I get to the kitchen.
Oh my God.
Want a trick to get reservations really hard is get a group of 8 together because they have 8 top tables. They will hold those. And that's first off, they'll just do a group of 8. So if you want to get a group of 8.
Nice.
I'm on their Facebook translation page, it's like 1 second,
Yeah. So if you want to go into group of 8, to say 8 and you get a whole different calendar. So.
so I can make more friends.
No, it's not my first time. Or 6 of my 8 on the table.
Wow.
Nice. Those pictures, I live vicariously through you.
Yeah, that is-
Pictures.
Even with rates taking a jump, I am seeing more buyers.
Yes.
So that is a cool thing. Buyers are kind of like, well, lived in, so let's do it. Welcome to the family. Carlos. Welcome to the family. We look forward to seeing you here. Malcolm Curry, John Banderas also joined up. They are on Jake's team. Oh, no, Malcolm's on Jake's team. John is also. So,
Okay.
see him in the halls, say hi. Just closed July 27th, August 9th. Laura Miller, always kicking butt. Ron Masura, Cliff Tran, Eric, Jake, Mark, Michael, and Nikki, each closed one. So let's give them a round of applause, shall we? Picture listings, Carlos. What do you have coming up?
Not this area, it's in, I
Never know.
have a home in Patterson, it's a 3-2, about 1350 square feet, listed at 425. I can't.
What? 425? Wow.
Nice.
How's the taxes on that one?
It doesn't have another list.
Good.
That's the.
Okay.
that's the one.
Nice.
So, and then I have another one coming up, maybe next week in Patterson. It's about 2,100 square feet, 4-3. With a pool. It's midnight or tomorrow.
Nice.
Patterson's a really cool area right on 5. 33 and 5 there. Yeah, lived there for a short time. You have a listing coming up? I thought I heard you mention it.
It's gonna be a few months.
Okay. Anybody else? What's coming up? Right. Market Center News Club every Wednesday, looking for high accountability, and we will hold you accountable. Come talk to me. This is the first of the month is in person or Zoom. The remaining Wednesdays are Zoom, but it is a high accountability club. So if you're looking to take your business to the next level, we talk about a lot of different things there, lead generation, scripts, that kind of stuff. So
And who's putting that on?
I am.
I do want to know one thing. There's a program through KW we're starting called Team Ridge. It's where the brokerage provides lead stages. Not even some points.
Yeah.
We are, I'm in the process of implementing that, okay? It's internet leads, you need to grind a little bit on this.
And I have
But
scripts.
the people that are going to, the agents that are going to be designated are the agents that show that they can show up and do the work
That's good.
and then have kind of.
Can you talk a little louder for the people who are on Zoom?
So we are going to be starting Team Ridge where we produce appointments for agents, qualified buyers and sellers. A little bit of different commission split, but hey, no one's going to turn out an appointment for a buyer or seller, right? We will be giving not every opportunity to every agent, we'll be giving those opportunities to agents that are participating in club and showing that they can consistently meet their they're saying, I don't care if you're saying I'm making 20 contacts a week, we just want to see someone that's doing 20 contacts a week and they're doing it and actually having success in club, because those are to make that system and process successful, we gotta have accountability system as far as high accountability, really make it high profitable for everyone. So but that's coming down the pipe. So plug for club. If you are on the fence or not thinking about it, please participate. I am looking for agents that want to grab opportunities.
And 2020, almost 100% of my business came from internet leads, so I have a ton of scripts, how to work those properly. We work a little differently in the sphere of influence. You can convert.
And will you be going over that in the club?
Club.
thing?
So we do. First Thursday of every month, we have our networking events. I do put out a Facebook event on it. So if we're not friends on Facebook, please connect with me so I can send you an invite to that. So it's on your calendar. So, a lot of fun. Meet a lot of new people, reconnect with people I haven't seen right in years. So it's really cool to see what happening. W night is coming up September 15th, Friday. Tickets are only $25 for the River Cats, food, baseball, and fun. Just want to remind you guys, no tall lawn chairs, short ones only with blankets. So get your tickets here. If you probably will send us a copy of the slides out, or if you don't have that, I'll make sure, just get with me and I'll make sure you get the link to purchase your tickets.
This is for Red Day,
No,
It's just for,
the proceeds though.
Any property goes to them.
Awesome,
So,
okay.
So we're not making any money on it.
they're playing the Sugarland Space Cowboys, so.
Come on, sure, let's get
Let's show Texas, who's the boss. I want to welcome your new launch coach here, Barbara.
Hi, so I'm excited to start this. I was doing it at my old market center. And I'm gonna support all the new agents in Fair Oaks and some of the agents for Sac Metro at this point. And then I think we're gonna get another lunch coach maybe to help divvy that up. But Leslie Steerwald is also doing it at Sac Metro. So we're working on ramping up the people. I don't know if there's any new ones in here today. Any new agents? No, okay. They will be hearing from us in the next couple of days. We're getting all that put together to introduce ourselves and we'll go from there.
wonderful.
I'm sorry.
It's a wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
I want to say we are attempting to, we had Amy as a coach and kudos to Amy. We built a program that was very successful, but now we figured out we have about 150 students coaching. We had everyone, so a lot for one coach to manage, so she's moving up to what we call success coaching, high level coaching. And we are diversifying a lot, we're trying to get more personal for a lot of our agents, so we're gonna have probably about 3-4 coaches in the end. When we finally built this out so that we can have more personal interaction, things like that, and get coverage.
But quick question, experienced agents in the room. How many of you have coached or have used coaching in the past? I know that I have, it's made a huge difference in my business.
Yeah.
Like a huge difference. I mean, even, well, Michael Jordan's retired, but he had a coach. Tony Robbins, he's a coach, but he also has a coach. I think coaching makes all the difference.
It does.
Thank you.
We would be honored if you would join.
So, we have been, fix that, there we go. We've had a big update with Command. There's been. Our agent sites have been updated, finally, after years. I was number 3 in the company to get my agent site updated. So I'm kind of proud about that. But some of the images here are a little bit of the updates of what you can see that's new. The homepage itself has been changed a little bit, updated, looks a lot better. We now have access to blogs. So you can use the KWRI blogs that will automatically update. You can write your own blogs if you want to. You can also tie into like Inman or something like that. And those will automatically flow into the system as well. The search portion's been updated and a new look on it. There's some more data that's been added into it. If you want to see what the whole thing looks like, scan the QR code, it'll bring you to my agent site. You can go through and play with it a little bit. Not every single feature is active right now. So there will be a CMA that's automatically built into the agent site. That will be coming in September.
Really?
Yep. And then also sometime in the next few weeks, there's going to be an open house sign-up sheet that is going to be completely connected to your agent site. So no more janky little forms that we had to build to use something to bring the data over or that kind of stuff. You'll be able to do it all directly in your site, flow directly into Command, start smart plans and all that kind of stuff without having to do extra bits and pieces and building stuff on your own.
Awesome.
And they'll be doing more and more stuff as time goes on with that. So like I said, if you want to see what it looks like right now, go ahead, scan that QR code, it'll bring you directly to mine. It is a little slow just because they are adding stuff in. So just give it an extra second as you're going through stuff. Next, the big thing is we've completely changed our ads experience. If you have any ads that are currently running right now, they're fine. If you had any ads that were scheduled to run before the 8th or during this week, they will run. If you were to do any new ads starting the 8th, you can't do them the old way. It's gone. It's completely gone. A whole new different experience now. Next Tuesday, I'm going to be doing a class going over the entire new system, how to set it up, what everything looks like. This is a very huge update to the way we were running ads before. We've given a lot of handling to Meta. We've decided that we as agents couldn't do any better than what the Meta algorithm can do, and we're letting Meta take over not posting your ad, but putting it in front of people. So what will happen is you'll create your ad like you did before, but you're not going to choose if it's going to Facebook or if it's going to Instagram. Meta is going to decide whether or not it's going to work on Facebook or Instagram or both. It'll be part of the Meta platform. So I'm assuming all their products down the future line will eventually roll into this. But right now it is just Facebook and Instagram. Threads is too new for ads, but I'm sure that will come around pretty soon. We do have a new channels up here for you as well. So you'll have lead gen ads, and then you will have traffic ads. In those traffic ads, you'll have Google search, which we didn't have in Command before. You had to have your own Google account to do that. You will now be able to do that directly in Command. This is get you in front of tens of thousands of people rather than 1,000 people or 1,500 people. Teams will have access to dynamic ads. Eventually, solo agents will get that. The dynamic ads are any listings that are part of the Market Center. They will automatically run for you in front of Google or Facebook. You won't have the ability to choose which listing, but it'll run every day for a month, and you'll be able to have that access. you'll be able to choose other areas as well. So you can do Sacramento, Elk Grove, Roseville, or you can do New York City, Houston, Atlanta, the entire country. So you'll have access to that. And just another little preview of what the dynamic ads look like there. And again, next Tuesday, I'll be doing that class.
Is that going, it is going to be in person as well as Zoom?
Yes,
Awesome.
it's not a workshop. Typically, I do workshops where I'm working with people on their computers and that kind of stuff because it's a lot easier that way. This is not going to be a workshop. It's going to be too many people, and it's going to be just me. So where I'm just really going to go over stuff and really explain how it's going to work. There is an answers article here with all the links on how to set everything up and get everything going. There is also the KWU training that will basically do the same thing that I'm doing. It's free, but it's by KWU, which I do say that everyone should go take that if you're going to do this, because things may change and I may not be up to date when they do those trainings. They do change them pretty quickly. And then if you want to come to the class to register, up there is the QR code for that. There will be a Zoom link in the event already, right? Yeah, so it's all there. And I think that's all I got.
Thank you so much. And people can make one-on-one appointments with you.
Yes.
Vince is the one on Monday for Sacramento.
Yeah, I'm doing
Also
that.
on
That's it's going. Yeah, it's going to be the same exact.
All right, how many of you guys heard of the disc profile? It's a super cool tool. We have our fearless leader, John, here, who's going to teach you how to apply it to your clients. Which I've never heard of before. Well, I'm excited about.
Oh, that's
So. welcome, John.
I call this advanced conversion lead techniques. I've taught this class many times. Disc and mirror and matching, and I want to. Our agenda for today, we're going to talk about. I'm going to go fast. I'm going to talk fast because I usually do this in a longer period, a short period. So, ask questions if you. How to use disc to convert better? How to use mirroring and matching to convert better? What are you going to work on? So, I'm going to say this is. When I say advanced lead conversion techniques, we see millionaire real estate agents out there. We see mega agents out there. They have a bunch of leads. They have a team. They can make it rain all day long, and you know everyone else is like, "Oh, I'm on a team," and you know those sort of things. Why? They're working the same amount of hours. You could be doing lead gen 2, 3, 4 hours a day, same as they are, right? And they're just somehow producing more. And how are they doing that? And I'm going to tell you, it's not that they're working the same hours. It's just that they're converting more in those same time periods than you are, right? And how do you do that? You have to get advanced conversion techniques. That means you have to start talking to people because you know people are not going to work with you unless they trust you, they like you, right? And they believe that you can get them across the finish line on their goals. They got to know those three things, then they will do business with you. But how do you engender trust? How do you get someone to like you? What if they're your total opposite personality? What if it's someone you don't even like them? Like I would never have, I would walk the other way if I was working with this person. If I met them, you know, at Starbucks or something, I'd walk the other way. But you still want to help them buy a house, right? So how do you work with these people? And I say this,
Sorry.
no problem. Okay. Sorry, let me back up a little bit. So just so you know, this is kind of your I tell people, agents, this is your job description. I know we got like, you know, go show homes and put them in contract and escrow and close. But I think if you've been in the business long enough, you realize like that happens by default. You just got to do this well. You know,
Right.
Okay. So I kind of break it up as practice and role play. There's basic techniques. We talk about scripts and conversions. Talk about how to talk to people, how to do scripts, how to do conversions. And then there's advanced techniques we're talking about. And then you have to have focused lead generation activity. You have to take these and do it in a focused way. You got to build reports with questions and conversations, add value to their specific need or roadblock. These are all ways to convert and convert appointments. I'm just talking about bands. I will teach these there's other ways to do each of these steps. But right now I'm talking about advanced techniques, assessments. And this is sort of a way that this is how top agents really make it rain and convert higher than other agents do. Okay, let's talk about that. So, and it's kind of John Maxwell said, everyone communicates, few connect. You should read that book. It's awesome. People work with people they like, they trust, and they believe, and they can help them get to their goals spiritually and mentally. And this is mine because this is my class. So I can quote myself if I want to. We all speak English, but we all think in different dialects. And I want to understand that. Who has a spouse, significant other, who sometimes says, damn it, they just don't understand me. They're not listening to me, right? Who says that, right? And the reason is you're both speaking English, you're both talking to each other, but you're how you think is different from how they think. And so the way you're saying is not registering with them, right? So how do we register with them? So the good part about these techniques is not only help you as a real estate agent, they'll help you in your relationships too, because they help me and I'll I'm going to put a disclaimer in here. You got to be a master of scripts and conversations where you can really implement the advanced techniques. And I just want to put this disclaimer out because a lot of people try to do advanced techniques and don't answer the scripts. And here's the hard part is the techniques required when you're in a conversation, live conversation with a buyer or seller at an open house, and I'm meeting them and talking to them. It requires you to be able to step back, have a conversation, but observe it kind of like a third party. If, like, if you're worried about what am I going to say? What am I going to say next? Oh my gosh, I'm worried I'm going to sound stupid. If you're thinking that in your head, you're not going to be able to implement these techniques because you're not going to be able to listen at a high level. You got to take in their body language. You got to take in what they're saying. You got to be able to observe these things in the conversation and then change how you respond based on what they're saying and doing. Okay? You cannot do that. You need to feel confident in any conversation you're having with a buyer or seller that there is not a question that they're going to ask that you can't answer, that you have a script for, that I can answer that question in a thoughtful and provoking way. If you don't have that, then you need to go to scripts. You need to get that level where you're not going to feel like, oh my gosh, what am I going to say? I don't know if I'm going to say the right thing or I'm going to sound stupid. If you're thinking that, you can't implement these things. So I just want to note that because that's why I call it advanced, because you got to have a script base of saying I can answer every question a buyer or seller can ask me. Then, 90% of questions. Then you can start working on advanced techniques because you have to be able to step back in that conversation and really evaluate as you go. Okay. I don't know, some of you may have seen this before, but this is how people communicate. There's lots of studies on this. But did you realize only 7% of how you communicate with someone is actually words? It's actually words. So I can tell you when you're talking with your significant other spouse, you may be saying words that are kind, but if your body language isn't kind, it comes off disingenuous, right? Right? So remember, body language and tone, what tone you use and the body language means a huge part to communication. So when I'm telling you, you're belly to belly with a client, lunch, open house, whatever that is, this matters way more than this.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of reasons people do lead gen on the phone and they stand up. There's a reason because this matters. And despite what you think on the phone, your tone, maybe not your body, but your tone definitely does come through. And your body language sets your tone too. So just note that's why a lot of people, if you understand the subtleties about this, you're going to convert at a higher level. Okay. DISC. Who knows DISC? Everyone knows DISC? Sort of. 4 personalities, dominant, influencer, steady, conscious. This tool is kind of like, what do I like to do in my job and all this stuff. But this is actually a very powerful tool to help you convert higher in real estate. And the reason is it's kind of a simplistic personality. There's much more advanced systems, but it's good for you to be able to use and apply. What I'm saying is most people fall into 4 categories of personalities. Now you can get nuanced on that. But generally, you can get to a point where you can identify someone based on the personality. Literally, I got skilled at this at an open house. When they walk in, how I greet them and get them to sign in, I know what personality they are. And I change the way I approach and talk to them based on that interaction. Does that make sense?
Right.
And then, okay, so understand this. This is by Tony Robbins. He does a great job about this. Okay, go ahead. There's a goal rule. Treat others the way you want to be treated. But in real estate, if you really want to be successful, you do the platinum rule. You treat others how they want to be treated. And I can tell you, in your spousal relationships or significant other relationships, if you get to this rule, you're going to go a long way. It's going to go a long, long way.
So our goal is platinum role. So how do we do that? There are different types of people. There's active outgoing types. You know those, right? Like I'm pretty active outgoing, right? Michelle's pretty active outgoing. That's the thought that. Alex, I know you're active outgoing like that, right? You're go-getter, you're fast-paced, you're optimistic, energetic, get involved, positive, enthusiastic. All comfortable. Let's just do this, right? So, then there's the other side, it kind of reserved, slower.
I'm definitely slower paced.
I just have to slow down, slow down. Slower pace, cautious, concerned, reluctant, critical thinking, discerning, those are passive reserve type. Now, let me caveat this one. I've seen many agents, I've seen millionaire agents all over the place. And I want to say, I have seen every personality be successful in real estate. Every personality is highly successful in real estate. It does not matter your personality. We tend to honor like fast-paced, outgoing. That's kind of personality we kind of promote in KW, but to want to know, I've seen every agent with every personality be successful in real estate. It's not exclusive to a personality. Okay, so then there's this other metric which is task-oriented. Some people are like, I want to check boxes. I like that. It makes you feel good when you check. Check. Oh, that's awesome, right? I check it. I functions. I plan, product, cost, time, bottom line. I like all that, right? All right. When you talk to clients, you're going to be people-oriented. Relationships. How many people like? I could tell people right off the bat. They're like, if you were to build a big business, how are you going to do that? And some people say, I'm going to go out and meet as many people as I can, and I'm going to find all these great people, and we're going to work together. It's going to be awesome. And some people are like, we're going to make a plan. We're going to make a business plan. It's going to be a 100-point business plan, and man, we're going to execute like no tomorrow. Make sense? And you know how they are, right? All right. So that's how it comes up with the disc. Okay. So dominant, D, dominant, direct, demanding, decisive, determined doer. You got your C's, cautious, calculating, confident, conscious, confident, careful. Inspiring, influencing, impressionable, interactive, interested people are I's.
I'm a driver.
Actually, you can be a DI.
I do the line.
Yeah, okay. People, supportive, steady, stable, sweet, status coach. Don't worry, So let's talk a little about this. If you're a D personality, you're 10% of the population. And here's the caveat about this whole thing. When you talk to someone and how they say, I like this person and I trust them. If you were just doing life by default, that means you were just doing your personality, just putting yourself out there and doing it by default. You are only going to get that attraction with people who are your own personality.
Right.
It means I like this person. They think like me. They get me. They understand, right? You want that understanding and commitment. Well, if you're a D, you're only going to tend to attract these because the steady S slow people are going to be like, whoa, this is like, I don't even know what she's saying, right? They won't even say that. So you got to understand. So the task is my way. They're going to be very demanding, like not your way. This is the way. We're doing it this way. They're going to be tend to dictatorial about things, right? So if you're an agent and you're being like, this is how we're going to do things. We're going to meet here and do this. And they're like, I don't want to do it that way. You're going to lose money because you want it my way, right? So goal setting, they're very challenging. They want to be challenged. They want to say, you can't do that. So if you want to motivate a buyer or seller who's like, no way you're going to make that happen. Those are also you like let's do this, right? So basic needs, they want choice, control, competitive, greatest fear. And this is the biggest thing is you need to know fears. Okay. You need to know what makes them excited and you need to know what makes them fearful. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
And when you're talking to people, this is where you get subtle is I bring in words and phrases that create fear as a negative and positive to working with them. And fear is going outside of it in my business. Does that make sense? So if I was talking to a D, I had a great, I was coaching, I was helping my coaches and they weren't doing great at open houses, even though I gave them a full plan to do it. And I went out to an open house and I said, this is stuff you're not converting. So I'm like, I went out, I said, tell me who's doing open houses every weekend. I'll go up to two of your open houses and I'll sit there for an hour and I'll work with you. So follow the plan. So I go and I realized why they were doing it because they weren't really putting out 20 signs. They were late, all this other stuff. But Anyways, I get to the house. And I said, here, I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna. This guy walks in. Blows past the sign and like, I'm not signing, just blows past right under, he just like charges in. He literally walks into the living room and looks to the left of the hall to the kitchen. And he's like, there's no bedrooms and bathrooms downstairs, literally. Like walks in, there's no bedrooms and bathrooms downstairs, starts to turn around to leave, just like that. Literally, I open house. And I kind of blocked he's come down, I kind of blocked the phone. I said, so sir, you're looking for a house in this neighborhood with a bedroom and bathroom downstairs, is that right? He's like, yes. I go, I have 2 houses that are for sale right now in this neighborhood that are on my list over there with a bedroom and bathroom downstairs in the same price point. Would you like to see them? That's
Yes.
literally the first conversation. The first thing I said to him. And I stood up and strong and I said to him, and guess what? We converted that client, right? Because I knew he was a D. That's how we responded. I changed. I wasn't, oh, hey, how's it going? I'm John.
Yeah,
He doesn't care. They don't care.
right.
They don't care. They don't care about you. It's about them.
Right.
They want to be treated like they do. So I was just as quick as they are. And I said, you know what? I had the other kid, her name was Carrie. I said, Carrie's here. I'm going to stay at the open house. Those 2 houses are vacant. She is going to take you right now and show you those 2 homes. Is that okay? Because we can get you an offer right now and you can get the home you want right now. How's that sound? He's like, that sounds amazing. Why? Because he's a D.
Yeah.
And I responded in a way, no, that I didn't know his name.
What if he killed her in one of those listings and you say?
Okay. I mean, I had a good judge. He wasn't like, he didn't look like he was like. Carry 7 homes and God blows, right? So, you know, so see, they like winning, planning, beating the boss results, fast moving challenges, right? I wanted them to once back. I mapped his speed, I matched his conversation. He literally, there's no bedroom and bathroom in his house, right? Downstairs. I mean, so I matched the speed and I yelled at him across the hall, right? Like, so you're looking for a house, you know, so you gotta match their personality. Does that make sense? Then they're gonna start going, man, this guy is special. I like him. He's not like the other agents. He understands me, right? You know, so just so you know, but guess what? If you're like that, you're only talking 10%. That means if you're only working with us, if you're just natural and just doing that, you're only going to get 10% population. Means you're going to go to open house, 20 people come in, and you got a shot at 2, really. And how many do open houses like, man, I kind of got maybe a lead here, and I'm sending houses to this person, but man, that really sucked. And I spent 4 hours and yada yada yada. If you do this, I was disappointed if I didn't have 1 to 2 set appointments at each open house. And if I did this, I guaranteed I got 1 to 2 more appointments that follow 2 weeks after, or 2 weeks after. That's it. All right, let's talk about it. Next. Personalities, 25 to 30% population. These people like to be liked, express ideas, being part of a group, social activities, recognition. They're the life of the party. They host things, right? You walk into their house and everything's beautiful. They have pictures of all the beautiful kids and experiences, and they want to tell you about how great the house is and all the great memories that they've had in the house. Right? So they like this, they just like being ignored, being isolated, being ridiculed, repetitive tasks, detailed work on. So if you're a C type and you came in and said, hey, I love your home. I got a 25-point plan that we need to review. So we sell your home property. They're like, whoa. Does that make sense? And you're like, this works. I like my 25-point plan. It's solid. It works. Well, if you're not going to be this part, so if I walk into the home and I see the wife and she's an I and she's like, I see pictures of her eye and she's telling about her family, like it's about the family. I'm coming my family. I like, you have beautiful kids. This is awesome. What, are these the marks of all? Is that where kids you mentioned? That's what he mentioned their height. Why? Because their basic need is recognition and improvement. I need to prove their life. I need to prove how they run things, how they do things, right? And that's okay. It's a beautiful life. So okay, let's do it, right? They hate rejection. So when I'm going to do that, I'll be like, and I want them to comply. I said, you know, I know you're thinking about sleeping on this before you sign this listing agreement, but you know, people that don't get their home sold well are people that waffle on decisions, and most people that do perform well sign today and then we move this process forward quickly for you. And so, and I do something that makes their action that they're thinking about doing, that I don't like that. Right? That doesn't make me feel good. Right? That doesn't make me feel good. And so, you know what would make me feel good is you signing right now.
And this is gonna be fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun, and it's gonna be an awesome journey. I know it. You think it's gonna be awesome, right? So think about that. Most agents are like that. You get into the business because you like time. You like the networking, you want to get out there and do those things. So most agents are eyes. Problem is, they're only talking about this population. So you may have a lot of kindred spirits, but you're only working with the kindred spirits.
Right.
All right. That's it. As personality, 30, 35, and actually in Sacramento, I think it's higher. I think it's about 50. And that's just for the demographic, because your S personalities are team or family successful. They're going to be your worker bee. They're going to be there. They want you to show up to the team meetings. You know that they want to work together. But the biggest fear they have is misunderstanding, being yelled at, surprises, being pushed. Very, very scared of change. The biggest fear is change. So these are people like, how many buyers you have on them? That just sounds so scary, you know. I'm getting really anxious about moving. I don't know this, you know, with this. I don't want too high mortgage payment. These rates are crazy. All those people are S's. They have a change to them. Rates going up a quarter point yesterday, you know, gives them shock and anxiety, right? It creates fear. And I say we have a lot in Sacramento because people who tend to be state workers tend to be S personalities. Why? Because they like the security of it, the predictability of it. I worked 25 years. I mentioned I'm not a client. Right? And I was like, oh my God, I would die, right? But they like that security, they like that appreciation of security. S is, if you're a D, I'm a pretty aggressive. If I push on the S, they're going to say yes because they don't want to offend me, but they're going to ghost me on the backside.
Right.
Right. So if you're getting ghosted on the backside, it's because you're being too aggressive with S's most of the time. You're not slowing down for them. Remember. So I'm going to start changing my language. I was like, I know the process of selling this home and buying a new home, it sounds pretty scary. I know you're probably concerned about being homeless during that position. So don't worry, we have many different methods that we can do to make sure you're not homeless. And if we have to sell your home to buy now, that's no big. We have a continued sale. I can cancel any deal on your house, any buyer deal on your house that we don't have for sure a house for you to move into. I will make sure that happens. And I know it's kind of scary and it's difficult and we'll have a lot of anxiety for this, but don't worry. I work with my clients hand in hand. We will take every step together. Now that to me, that sounds super painful. As an agent, I'd be like, I don't want to take it in my hand. But just but
Sign right here.
because they're ready for a change. So I got to alleviate the change. I got to feel like, hey, we're going to, because they want teamwork, right? They want teamwork and harmony. So I'm going to talk to them in ways that give me, that say, we're a team, we're harmonious, let's make this happen together, right? So you see how I start changing my words and talking to people based on their personality. And like I said, probably 40-50% of Sacramentans are S's. The majority of the population are S's. So if you're moving too fast for them, you're out. You're out of 50% of the job. People out there, you're out. All right. So just acknowledge that. You have C's, which are about 20-25% population. They like to be right. They want clear instructions. They want planning. Vince is a C. That's why he's a teacher. Because you click this box and this button and type this and do that and hit submit and you get this. Right? They want that predictability.
And I'm always right.
And you're all they like to be right. They just like being criticized, maybe say some change sloppy work on earnest. If you are slow to call back, you don't have answers. You will lose these all day long. You will lose them all day long. So you got to be super good. And you may think of the buying process as A to Z. You'd be like, well, you know, there's a lot of middle stuff they don't need to know. They really need to know A, E, you know, N. S, and Z. If they know those things, we'll get through the process. Right? I'll fill in, that's something like that. C, I want to know A. C, I want to know what you're doing on my behalf all the time. Right? I want to make sure we're not. So I had a C one time. I had this appointment set. It was fire council. They weren't lived in Stockton, but they were moving back. And the fire council, I was talking with the wife. She's not. We're good. I make friends. We're gossiping. Blah blah blah. She's like she was a S, like a seamstress. So she, very old school, steady. But her husband comes, and I didn't realize, but he owned some company over there. But he was like an engineer. He was, and he walks in with her. They're walking this Saturday, and she walks in. Is like, we sit down at our conference room. Hey, welcome, blah blah blah. She's like, I just want to know straight up. I just want to know if buying in Sacramento is a good investment. I'm like, whoa, okay, this guy's a C. He wants to know all the reasons why he should make the move. Well, just a Sacramento. I'm not sure you've been here. He drove around, like but he wants to know that. So I said, time out. Let's go to the training. I literally went to the training room and I brought up my mental set, put trends up, trends. And I said, let's talk about the 12-year history, the 12-month history of Sacramento. And I actually put it back like 3 years. I said, here you go. We're going to go through and talk about why it's a good idea to buy in Sacramento and why in the future you're gonna love it, right? How you're going to get a lot of appreciation on this and why Sacramento's an upcoming market. And I went through the trends, all 5 of those tabs. And afterwards, he was like, okay, John, we're ready to move forward. Then we really talk about how super cool. Right. But I had to get through that, get there because he was a C. Makes sense? So if you're talking to different people, just know if you want to widen, this is how people understand these personalities, and then they change the way they interact with people to get that. So if you want to, so D's tend to be CEOs, B price management, sales, quick results, decisive. So a lot of times you can identify people by their jobs. Okay? If they're a state worker, 90% of the time they're nice. Right? Teachers, sales, training officers are eyes. People eyes. You'll know eyes. They want to love you. They will greet you with heartiness. Right. So that's a teachers versus program technicians. So S's tend to be people that need to care. They want to care. They want teams. They want to work with other people. Accountant, engineer, analyst, nurse. They want to be right. Right? So if you go on a listening appointment and it's an engineer on the C or right, you can't say your data sucks. You don't know what you're talking about. You're not right. I'm right. My comps are right, and your value of your house is right here. And you should listen to this private. If you see that, you will not get this. Guarantee it. So what I do on those is I step back and I say, let me tell you why your data is not applicable to our situation here. And I don't discount him. I discount his data. Right, you got to understand because they don't want to, they like to be like. I said, I did tell them, your analysis is right, your data is wrong. Let's talk about why, and let's talk about my data, and you can take your same analysis and apply it to the right data, right? And then they will come around. So they had a C, we had a listing, a luxury listing up. It was luxury, $2 million. He was a C, he was an engineer. He comes out at our listing appointment, he brings up, literally brought his laptop out with a spreadsheet. And he says, I talked to several appraisers in the area. And he literally did, I don't even know, it was like pivot tables, all the stuff on the actual value of the house. Off this spread, I must have taken like hours of conversations together, right?
Right.
You understand? So for me to come to him and say, I had to pivot how I talked to him because he's really stuck on his data.
Yeah.
He's really stuck on his data, and I can't get him off. I can't say you're wrong. I can say your data. Well, and I start talking about appraisers. Appraisers look in the past. We look in the future.
Right.
We look now. We're now and present. Appraisers look in the past. We'll talk. Right. And so I start talking. So you can't discuss. You got to discount that. Okay. In your business, how do you use this in your business? On the phone, D's and I's tend to speak louder and faster. If they're on the phone, they're not faster. As a C tend to be softer and slower. You're like, right? If they're like, whoa, what the kind of, hey, okay, I'm getting a sense of this, right? D's and C's tend to show no emotion. Have you ever had those people who are like, man, that was like
They just don't
a
care.
dead conversation. I think they want to work with me. And they call you back and say, oh, that was a great meeting. Thanks. We want to move forward. You're like, wow. It's okay. It's not show emotion, right? Like it's don't show emotion. You just gotta check. If you check the boxes, they're okay, right? So they don't want to show much. So when you're on the phone, you need to understand how people show up and adjust how you do things, right? So all right. On the appointments.
Yeah.
Homes tend to be clean and decorated, traditional, neat, clean, and in order. Now, they're not beautiful, functional. Think bachelor padish, but nice. Makes sense. So, Spartan, but nice. Right? That's what that's from. Eye tones will be well decorated, trendy styles. Eyes will have photos. A lot of photos. It may feel a little homey and family, but it's going to be nice. It's going to be very trendy. Whatever you've seen on TikTok recently is probably going to be there, right? Does that make sense? So it's going to be, eyes are going to have that kind of house. S's tend to be comfortable, traditional, lots of family photos. So they're going to be very traditional. They're not going to be trendy, but they tend to be very family comfortable. It feels like I can sit down and relax and have a beer and be cool, right? Does that make sense? So that's what they're going to feel like. Also, these homes tend to be where you get hoarder homes too. So, and I'm just saying this because S's don't like change. So they sometimes create so much fear of change that they stay in the home long term when the home really doesn't fit their needs. And so they start doing things to the home or sporting things in the home to make it feel better. Does that make sense? So they tend to live here. C's homes would be very neat, tidy, and well organized, usually not a lot of color. So sometimes these will look the same, but you just need to figure out by John what these people will be very aggressive. These ones you'll know. This one will be the trendy versus comfortable. That's what it is. Trendy versus comfortable. I'm going to warn you. I found the times that if there's a husband and wife, the wife is usually the one that's doing this. So you know the wife's personality. It's not often the husband's personality. The husband just puts up with it, right? Because he doesn't care. I'm just saying. Oh, well. So you will need to later identify the person of the husband. And I made that mistake where I dealt with one, signed a listing, and then I never dealt with the other person, and they call me back and cancel because I never actually got the wife on board, and she was an S, and she vetoed the thing and said no, right, to the husband afterwards. But she didn't want to say no to me at my face because she didn't want to offend me, so she said no, right, and I didn't identify her and work it properly. So, how to ask for business. These will make fast decisions. These like to negotiate and need to feel like they've won. But just like that example I told you. House, bedroom, bathroom downstairs. Now we'll show you. We'll accommodate our time. They won. They beat us, right? They won. We'll kowtow to your kids, right? They want to win. I can be quick decision makers. They have an overall need to be liked and recognized. Focus on how it will help. Eyes will sign up if you're their friend. Or if they believe that you can be an awesome friend in the future, they will sign up. It doesn't matter about the house. It doesn't matter. I mean, you guys are honest, don't get me wrong. But I have seen eyes hire their friend agent who has no experience, nothing. They're going to be a crappy agent just because they're good friends with them. Make sense? They will value friendship and likability over your actual skill. Right? So if I get an eye, I don't talk about my skill or my experience. I just talk about them and their beautiful house and how awesome it is, right? And how awesome they are, because that's what they want. I need them to like me before they're going to even consider me. S's will need time to make this and help them folks. So these are the people who are going to need safety, security, family. They're going to tell you, they're going to slow play you. They're going to like on your ABC list, they're like always in the potential B category. Moving forward, right? So just that. So every time I talk to them, you know, they want to trust who they're working with. They really value trust. That would create trust. And sometimes that takes time with them. They need to test you and test you and test you. Make sure I can really trust you, right? So these people need nurturing, right? These will need a lot of information to make a decision. Don't rush them into it. So if they're asking for information, and they're going to ask you for information that they can't get a hold of. So usually they're going to ask you for they've scoured the internet for all this, they found this, but they have these few questions because only realtors have access to this information. And I need to know what happened with this house, where the credit's there, why did it get sold to, why did this house sell so cheap, right? They need to know that kind of information to make them feel good. So just note, C's are going to ask you for information, they're going to challenge you on your knowledge, right? They're going to make sure that you know how to dot your I's and cross your T's. Let's go back. So, any questions on DISC? So if you're going to want to do DISC, I recommend the first thing you do is just work on number one, what you are. Because if you understand what you show up as, then you're going to know how everyone's going to receive you. Makes sense? And then I want you to start just working to identify, don't change your behavior because it's really hard to change how you talk midstream. What you want to work on first is identifying, just work on identifying the person. I think that person's an S. I think that person's a C. Just get in that mindset when you're talking to someone or doing something like, I think they're that personality. Get good at identifying personalities first. And once you have that comfortable, then you can start rolling into like, okay, now that I know they're that, and I know they're that, I'm going to change the way I present. So I used to have a listing presentation. I went through my presentation. Now I do a paper and a yellow pad and comps, 1-page comps. And I only do that because I was doing more DISC. I want to know who they are, and then I was talking. And so if I say one of the first questions I say, hey, let me ask you, what is the one thing that would keep you up at night about the sale of your home and moving to Roseville? Right? What concerns you the most? And your I or your D is going to come up with a straight answer. Bam, this, right? And I is going to be like, I just want to make sure whoever buys our home, because this is such a beautiful home that a good family comes in and we sell it to a good family and they have it. They experience the goodness of this home just as much as that's what it is. But just know you have to usually opposites attract in relationships, so that usually the personality of the other spouse is usually opposite. So if you need to ask them, so if I have the husband comes out and he's like blah blah blah, I change my demeanor based on her personality, and I turn to the wife and I say, what concerns you? And I ask her directly. Because you got to make sure you get both personalities on board. Okay. All right. Whew. Okay, we're gonna go forward. Sorry. I'm going fast here. So okay, we're gonna talk mirror matching. How much time?
30.
What?
30.
30? No, really?
It's 11:52.
Oh my gosh, I'll go fast. Okay. Physiology. This is now okay. Now we're going past personalities. We're going to how you show up. Physiology. You gotta match their posture and physical mannerisms. I know this is gonna seem bad. It's gonna seem bad.
No, I think it works.
It works. So I'm in recruiting meetings and I have a chair that sits up, but it also can lean back, right? And the reason I can lock it in this, and people are always like sitting until they fall. I'm like, why did you do that? The reason is because I have chairs where they sit across from me, and if they lean back in their chair, I lean back in my chair. If they sit forward, I sit forward. If they put their hands on knees and talk like this, I put my hands on the desk and I lean forward too. Makes sense? You want to physically match them. Now, don't do it more than they do, or it'll just look like it's going to look weird. Just do it less than they do, but do it. So, for example, I was at an open house. You ever meet those people that like don't know personal space? This guy looked like a surfer, a point break surfer. Okay. And he walks in, says, how's my house? And he walks up, and like gets like in my face, and he's talking, I'm worried about him spitting on me. He's that close, right? So he's like, oh, I like the house, and blah blah. He's actually excited, like we're trying to buy a home, wants to talk to me, and we're talking. And at first, I have kind of a revulsion because I'm like, I got to step back out of this thing, right? But I was working on this, so I was like, okay. And I didn't step as close as he, I didn't do like he did, but I just took a slight lean forward. That's all I did. Now, it was scary because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm getting closer to him. It didn't make me feel comfortable, but I did it because I wanted to match his physical manners. For him, that's important. If I backed away from him and that's how he likes to do life, I'm telling him I don't approve of That's what I'm essentially saying. And if he's an I, which was I, because he was outgoing, I just said, I don't like you. I just said, I do that. Does it make sense? And so he was going around trying to find someone like him that he liked. And he just needed someone that was okay getting in personal spaces, right? And it sounds stupid. I know it sounds stupid, but this is where the subtlety happens. How do you say, we always talk about how does one engender trust? Is these little things in the back of their head say, ooh, this one's someone, they don't even know it. It just happens in their head. It's subconscious. It just says, oh, this person's this. I like this person. So if they sit forward, you sit forward. They cross their legs, you cross your legs. If they slowly drink water, you drink slowly. So if I said they water, if it is there, they drink water, I talk a little bit, then I drink water. So I have water and drink. Just want to be able to understand. Because if they do it,
Or I see.
or I see it, doesn't matter what you do, mom. If they talk with their hands, it's gonna be hard for you if you don't talk with hands, but if they talk with their hands, you don't need to be as exaggerated with them, but you need to put some hand movement out there. I know it might feel uncomfortable, but you gotta do it. So I know it sounds stupid, but trust me, it will start, they start feeling like this person is my guy, that's my woman. Right? This is the right page, right? So a speech rate. Speak at the same speed and tempo as this is my hardest one. I go fast. So if they go slow, you need to match their speed rate. Now, you don't have to match it perfectly. If they're a fast talker and you're a slow talker, you need to speed up. You don't have to go to their speed, but you do need to speed up. Same thing. If they're slow and you're fast, you don't have to go as slow as them, but you need to slow down. I can't stress this enough. You mess this up, you're going to lose a lot of leads, especially like internet leads, phone leads. If you're only talking on the phone for the first time, you're going to lose them with this. If you're way fast and they're slow, you're going to lose them, right? So don't speak fast in fifth gear when they're back in first gear. Certain disc behaviors like these and speak more rapidly, and SSCs don't. So you're going to be able to tell how they talk. Their speech rate is a good indicator of what kind of personality they are. So you can start adjusting. Okay? Speaking at different paces creates a notable disconnect. This is just all I'm talking. All right. Harry, you talk to a lot of these.
I do, and I talk a lot.
I'm sure you see different speech rates all the time for different ages.
I do, yeah. And you're right, there, it doesn't matter the personality. I have seen agents, engineers come in and I'm thinking, oh God, they're never gonna make it in the back of my head. And they become super successful because they target what they know,
Yeah.
right? And so, yeah.
And that's the good part is we have too many people in second. Yeah, that's the thing.
It's got an idol. I think I play my D down because otherwise a strong D and a woman sounds like a bitch.
Yeah, and usually, so just know how to play, and usually you have a dominant, and usually you're not more than 2 letters, but usually you have a dominant and sort of a secondary friend that's a little less. And usually you have the ability to turn one down and amp one up, right? So just know, you want to be able to amp those up and down based on your personality. And you do it already. I know you do, right? You get into a situation, usually if you're in an intense work situation, you will adjust your personality automatically just to reflect that, like, I need to feel the land, so I'm gonna be a little more reserved, right? Then I know, right? And if you're a pure ID, you're gonna be like, I'm gonna go make say hi to everybody. I'm gonna work for a living, right? All right. We got on speech rate. Tempo matters. Okay. Volume matters. I'm a projector.
No.
Yes. And I hate to say it, but S's were and they're the largest part of the problem, were the hardest for me to convert my business because of speech rate and volume. Because I went fast and I was loud, and they're like, this guy is like a bull in a china. And I can't work with him because he doesn't understand me. I'm scared. And he's like, let's go. And so you gotta understand, by matching volume, you can bring them more in the neutral point. I can tell you if they're loud and you're like, wow, they're really loud. And you can start loud, but start a little below them. You will see. You will see, and you can control the conversation. Literally, they will start ratcheting down. They will ratchet down your level, and you take up one level, and they will ratchet down one. You can actually control the conversation if you actually think about it and actually do it at the time, you can actually make those happen. Quiet type will begin more comfortable, will begin to speak up. So if they're S's or C's, they will get higher volume the more they trust you to feel like this is right. If D's and I start slowing down, you're losing. You're losing. Okay. Tonality and pitch. Make sure your voice sounds like their voice. This is the toughest. Now, I'm half Chinese, most people. So I know what Chinese is. I don't know if you heard Chinese talk, I have a mom, Chinese, Tiger mom. And she speaks like broken English. And my wife is 20 years, she's like, I think I finally understand your mom now. Like she's just missing, consonants and here, and filler words like the and a, she just misses those. So if I'm talking to and I used to convert a lot of my Chinese clients, which are hard to convert, it's because they would talk in that broken language and I can talk back in the broken.
Really?
So if someone has a strong accent and they emphasize S's, for example, in the language, I would start emphasizing S's when I talk. And that sounds stupid. You don't try to do their language and accent, but if you go a little bit toward them, it helps a whole bunch. It helps a whole bunch. It makes them feel comfortable, especially on the phone. It makes them feel very comfortable. It's the hardest to do, but match foreign ethics, accent subtly. Don't do it, but just match, especially if you're good at it. Match your level of grammar. Don't be too fancy about per client. So I went to Berkeley. I'm like super fancy when I talk. I use words that a lot of people don't understand. It's okay. It's not a big deal. But if I'm working with a guy and he's a construction worker and he drives a Harley, I'm like throwing F-bombs in there, right? I'm toning my language down, right? If he cusses during the conversation, I cuss too. And not that I like to, but I do it because I need to match his grammar. He needs to feel like this guy. And he was like a construction guy, plumbers union, I think. We bought him a house, great guy, Harley, just, salt of earth American, right?
Right.
And after he's like, John, thank you, blah, blah. He's like, man, John, I love you, but you're not how I thought you were going to be. He's like, your emails are beautiful and all this stuff. It's just like a lot, right? And I was like, oh, because I converted him. But then when I was with him through the escrow, I just reverted back to my normal stuff.
Right. Right.
And so I was like, oh, okay, I got to take this all the way to escrow, right? So just natural level of grammar. And they will talk to you in different levels of grammar, right? From ghetto all the way to high class, right? So just try to match that, right? So, and think about when you're going to email communicate, how they like to respond. If they're very informal in their emails, then tone down your formality. If they're very formal, then formalize yours. If you're not, right? So talk to them in the grammar that they like to match. High pitched goes along with low and deep. This is the easy matches. If they're low and deep, you go down. You don't match them. You just go down one octave. If they're high, you go up one. I know this sounds salesy. This is how the mind determines if someone is trustworthy. It sounds stupid, but we said 70% is body language, right? It's how you're showing in tone, right? 93% of how you show is your tone and body language, right? So these are cues the mind uses to identify that. This is probably the easiest one to do is keyword phrase backtracking. Restate their favorite words back to them. People will say the same words over and over again. One of my favorite words to use is, does that make sense? Vince knows that, right? So I say it a whole bunch of times. So if someone says blah, 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 does that make sense? Then if I'm responding to something on the answer to the question they asked, then does that make sense? Why? Because it breeds familiarity. So a great way to communicate is here, understand their needs. If they frequently tell you they don't need to sell, then you should repeatedly validate saying, I understand that you don't need to sell. So by explaining, it's a good thing that you don't need to sell. So validate what they're saying and repeat it back to them. Validate it. Don't discount it, validate it. Right? If you put that on the front, but then say, blah, 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 I understand. It's great that you don't need to sell since, You don't need to move for 5 years. But have you looked at the market stats right now? Right? So you need to like validate them with their same words they use and then change the conversation. For example, prospective home buyer might can't constantly meet the feel of different homes with statements like it feels like a good family home or it feels cold and dark. Here the client expressing that the feel of the home is more important to him than the other concerns like condition or features. Accordingly, a great communicator's attention should be decided on how prospective home feels as well. So you need to adjust feelings. Homes. That's why the best luxury agents. I don't know if you ever talked to Carolyn Lowe, who's a luxury in the Bay Area. When she does her listing, she's talking to people about the candle and fragrance choices that we're going to have in the home to make sure the feel is right. Literally, she's like, I prefer this scent, but these are the other scents I do want. You want to go over the scents. Literally. Because she's concerned about the feel of the home. So just understand, match their keywords and phrases. Everyone's going to have keywords that kind of they kind of repeat to you. And if you're doing calls and if you're doing follow up with them and they're not converting and they're saying these words again, you need to like repeat those words back and then validate it and then go and then do your statement. I understand you don't want to sell right now and blah, 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 blah. Right. All right. Questions? Ahas. Sorry, I went really fast.
That was very good though.
We can go and exercise this for the phone. I recommend personalities. Just try to make sure you understand who you are and how you show up. I make sure then start working. The first thing they work on is identifying other people off of simple actions, jobs, how they interact with you. Think about, let's talk about open houses. Someone walks in the door. I have it set up where I'm signing people in at the front door. I'm standing there. I like to block people from getting in. So they come in and I say, hi, I'm John. I step forward. Literally, I do that because I want to see how they react.
Right.
Based on their reaction. If there's someone's like, I'm Vince. Good to meet you, John. They're hi. Right. They're hi. Right. If they're like, yeah, good to meet you, John. Okay. Like, what do I, they're just trying to, and then they're going to be, these are going to be like, they don't want to sign it.
Right.
That's just slowing me down. Wasting my time. All right. So they're not signing in general detail. I don't want to, that's slowing me down. All right. Our S is going to show up. I'm John. I'm John. What are they going to do? They're going to be like, hi, I'm Susan. Right? They're gonna, I'm a little aggressive. They're going to step back. They're going to kind of shy away from that a little bit. So I know, tone it down. Right? All right. C's. They'll shake your hand. This is me unemotional. John, Vince, good to meet you. Is this where I sign in? Okay. Right. No emotion. So just think about that. Your sign in at your open house is going to dictate the personality right there. And then you can start thinking about how I'm going to talk to them differently. So I want to get you, next time you do an open house or something, I want to get you dictating or listing appointment, start dictating and saying, what kind of personality is it? Don't worry about responding differently. Just worry about how, just trying to identify that personality. See if you're right. Once you get your disc radar right, then you can start working on how I respond. Okay. Mirror matching, don't work on all 5. You will look stupid and very confused. Work on one and master one. If you want to say, I really want to work on whatever vexes you the most. Like if I'm horrible, one of the things that worked on me was wine. Wine was my nemesis on the speech. So I always worked on, first thing I did, the only thing I did when I talked to someone on the phone was work my volume to the level of theirs. I had to train myself to do that, right? Just so you know, to mastery of this took me 3-4 years to get this down, or I can do it just naturally. Where I see someone, I start talking to me, I respond to them.
What do you tend to do, John, when you've got, say, a husband and wife that walk in and they're polar opposites?
And you got to get good at that. So I identify one and the other. Some people don't like this. They don't want to walk the home before they do the appointment. Some people just like to go in the appointment and do the listings. I like to walk the home. I want to see who walks with me and who doesn't. And I want at least to be able to get one person, whoever does walk with me with the home, I want to get their personally off the table. I know what they are. We're done. I just got to identify the others. Right. So I try to, if only one walks with me, then I'm good. I'm going to segment one off. All I got to work on is the other one to figure out what the other one is. So I try to take one off the board. And then I do that. So, but if they're opposite personalities, when you're sitting at the table and literally you're sitting across from them usually, right, at the kitchen table or something, right? You need to talk to them differently. So I talk to them together, but when you answer questions, answer them individually. If one is dominant and strong, DI, and the other is SC, the SC is going to get overwhelmed. They will be quiet. They will not even ask questions sometimes because the other person is overwhelming the conversation so much, right? You need to pause them and you need to go to them and say, hey, what are your concerns? Just like I said, you gotta reach out to them, right? And make them respond, because I guarantee their concerns are different than that person's concerns. And if their concerns aren't met with what you said, you're not gonna get this thing, or they're gonna ixnay it, especially if they have veto. If they're a good couple and one has, they have veto, you're done.
Have the decision. That's
They might be the decision maker, right? Yeah, they just don't know. They just, this is the I and the C runs everything anyway. So like, there you go, right? The C is gonna make or break it, so get the C. And the problem is the C is gonna be quiet in that situation. If you have an I and a C, the I is just gonna dominate the conversation. And the C is just gonna sit there and be like, check, no. No, they're not paying attention. They're not answering my questions. They haven't even asked me anything, right? So understand, when you're with two, that you need to identify both personalities and then talk. And I literally, when I'm talking differently, if I'm going to change my tone or anything, I literally will change my volume, or I'll make it noticeably different. I'll look them in the eye and ask them directly. So that way I can get a different response. Makes sense? So we're going to identify both, and you'll see most of the time they're opposite. Most couples are exactly opposite. So it'll challenge you. Like, I'm best friends with the wife, but man, that husband's hard, right? You know, that it's really hard. And I take the husband on board. He wants to go with that agent. It's because you're driving with this personality, but you're not bringing him on board, right? And when I was doing this really well, I had a lot of couples come to me and I convert them all. And I had wives come to me and be like, John, can you talk to my husband? I really like this house, but he doesn't like this house. And I know you can convince him because he respects you. And they don't even have the strength of communication between them to navigate the home buying process. I have to help them do it, right? And I got a lot of couples into homes because I was able to navigate that process and have a relationship with both of them at a high level, right? The wife felt trust with me and the husband felt trust with me, and they're opposite person. And they didn't even have that trust between them at that level, right? So, well,
They ask you about it.
talk about marriage counseling and things like that. You start doing things, right? Let me just say, I had this guy, personality, wife was an ass. She was wants at home, and they were married. They had kids, 2 kids, not married. They were getting married. Wanted to buy a home, having a second kid. They're in an apartment. They just need more space. Husband, we're going to homes, and she's an ass, so she just wants that family. So we're going to homes. The home feels good. She likes these homes. And we're going to homes, and he's cooking all the homes, and he's a D, so he's just putting home, trashing it, does whatever. This home's not the right home. This home's not even giving an answer, just not. And so she's getting super frustrated, right? We got 2 or 3 times, super, just. So I go, I'm like, bro, I feel you, but I don't know if you noticed, like, you're pissing off your wife, right? And he's like, yeah, I know. I'm having a frank conversation, right? I was like, hey, I don't know, but there's something you're not saying to your wife, and something you haven't told me that's holding you back from doing the sale during this part. I'll just direct, because he's a D, gotta be direct, right? And he's like, so I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste yours. But the biggest thing that they're afraid of is wasting time, right? So I said, I don't want to waste your time, and I don't want to waste my time, right? And he's like, yeah. I was like, so what's the issue? Why are you killing all the homes? You know what he said?
Wanted a divorce. Just kidding.
What? John, I said, why? And he's like, if we buy a house together, I'm in. Like, I'm hard to stand in. I'm like, okay, I understand you. I'm like, do you mind if I give you some advice, give you some perspective on this? He's like, sure. I was like, you have 2 kids. In California, you're in. You tell me you're in. You're 100% in all that. You're 50-50 all the way down. Like, there's no ins, outs whatsoever. He's like, really? I was like, if you went to divorce right now, And your wife has no job and you're all the income, you're giving 50% of your income to her.
Yep.
Done. He's like, really? I said, done. I was like, you tell me you're divorced, you want to, you have the house, I will come sell it, 50-50 split, everyone's good. Easy.
Uh-huh.
Kids, not so easy. He's like, good point. I was like, so you need to have a discussion with your wife, because you're not telling her something that you need to have a discussion about.
Yeah.
And I expect that you're gonna have a discussion tonight, because I don't want to waste your time. And you don't want to waste my time. They had a discussion,
lot.
they bought, they paid off on them, they bought it.
Uh-huh.
So that was a little marriage counseling, but I was able to talk to him because his D and I able to talk to him like he likes. I was able to get him to move forward because I pushed his greatest fear. I said, you're wasting your time.
She's thankful.
Yeah, she's like, oh yeah, she was like, oh, thanks, okay, like, yeah. So, does that understand? Yeah.
I have a question. So most of Sacramento is an S, right?
Well, a lot.
A lot of Sacramento is an S. So when you're matching an S, but you're trying to move them forward, do you have any strategies or tips? Because sometimes you get stuck in like a waffle back and forth or a knife off, right?
The trick is they gotta feel ultimate trust with you and come to this. They gotta feel super trustworthy. And sometimes that just takes time, because if they, especially if they've been burned in the past in relationships, they're gonna be very sketchy on those things, right? So those are like, if I see they're an S and they tell me, John, I'm just not ready right now. And I'd be like, okay, what kind of environment would you like to see mortgage rates, purchase-wise market that would make you feel comfortable? I'm like, oh, if it was really like this, I'd feel a lot more comfortable. Fantastic. I bump them down to my B or C list. And I talk to them regularly, but I'm always talking to them about their roadblocks. I'm trying to remove one roadblock out of one roadblock until they feel comfortable. They're not going to move until they. So I don't. A lot of agents, what happens is they get an S and they think they're in A, they're A, we're going to buy right now, and they struggle and they're like scared and they put all this time and effort trying to get them to move forward and they don't. And trust me, I've taken S's and I'm like, get on my back. We're going to go and I will carry you across the finish line. And guess what? I've done it and I've gone there and I got them off on a house. Trust me, we're going to do it. And they canceled the mid escrow because they're just too scared.
Right.
They're just too scared and we blow up and it just ruins the whole relationship because I took them too far. I've done it, trust me, I've done it many times. So just know what S's, they're just a long-term merger. And you show up with consistency,
Yeah, understanding, I found with those types as well, understanding their why and helping them to understand their why. If they really understand their why, it's gonna help you strategize it better, whether it's right now, or 6 months from now. But no matter what, they're gonna be a buyer, it's just.
And here's the thing, if you really want to know what are they, remember, know this person, know the fears. The greatest fear is what fear, remember, okay, 95% of people, even real estate agents, their success in real estate is a lot because they're running from fear. People run from fear. Most of the time, most people react from fear. That's why we do politics and all the ads are about fear. These people are taking over, you're ruining your neighborhood. All this stuff is fear because people tend to respond to fear.
Right.
More than, well, if I said, you do this, you're gonna be a millionaire. Okay, but if I say, you're gonna be broke and homeless, that's gonna more motivate, right? So with S's, our biggest fear is instability, change, unpredictability, those things. So what I try to do is say, let's take your situation and your home situation and project it forward 5 years. 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 years. The reason you're calling me is because you're feeling pain right now because your current living situation isn't ideal for your lifestyle and your life right now. And then I say, if we kept the same way, what would it look like in year 2? What would it look like in year 3? 5 years from now, what would it look like? And you have to create their understanding that my life will get more unstable and unpredictable if I don't make a change. They only make a change when the pain, the future pain and current pain is so much that the change is warranted. For example, my MCA, Megan, she's a 99S, 99C on this. I have never met another person that's this. So super detailed, hates change. Hates change.
With a passion.
Like there is no change that is good. Which is hard in a changing world, but that's okay. when she moved up here, she was working at a car dealership down there, single mom. She quit her job and moved up here without even finding another job. And have a place to go to yet. She just put it with the, and gave her 30-day notice and said, I'm gonna find a place. She's 99 So what does that mean is the pain of her situation was so
bad.
high that she forced me, and that's the only way S is really making moves. When the pain or the perceived future pain is so high that it forces them. So you got to just help them because they'll live in a box and they'll try to compartmentalize and shut it down. That's why they end up hoarding, right? Because they just like, I'm just going to ignore it. It's too stressful. I'm just going to ignore it. And then 5 years down the line, they're hoarding, right? So what you have to do is get them to that future pain. Say, look, I do this a lot. I see what's happening. Let's just take this through. You're feeling a pain because you have too many people in the house and not enough rooms right now. And I know they're little, but imagine they're kids and teenagers. I know they're sleeping 2 room each now. Imagine they're teenagers, what's going to happen? Do they fight now? Like, yeah, they fight a lot. Imagine they're teenagers, what's going to happen? Right? You got to just build that hate, right? You're right. Any other questions?
Internet leads. You're talking to them the first time, you're obviously not in front of them. How do you not burn that conversation the way that they did from the beginning? What ways to go into that conversation without getting in the rejecting rate?
Okay, number one with internet leads is you got to have a mentality that you have to assume that you're the agent. You're their agent. Just talk, do things, assuming you're their agent. That's just the way it is. And then what you act when you communicate afterwards, that call, texts and emails, make those texts and emails like you're assuming you're the agent. So I would talk to them. Internet lead, off of listing. I did a Facebook ad, I got an internet lead off of listing. So I call them and say, hey, you called me about 123 Main Street. Is that right? Like, well, I just put that somewhere. Oh, okay, so you're not in the market to buy. Like, well, no, we are in the market. But okay, fantastic. What are you looking for? And then blah, 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 blah. And actually, I got good at that point. I did a lot of it. I have my computer in MLS. And they tell me what it is, and I have to search for it. Take a look. And I find like just a beautiful house. Most of the time I knew what was going on in it anyway. So I marketed to one area. So I said, hey, in fact, I know you're looking at this house, but I have another house. Is this your cell phone? I can text you right now. And I have my app ready and I texted them the house right now. Do you like this house? And see, my action says, I'm your realtor. Internet leads, speed to lead is vitally important. If you're not within the first 10 minutes, you're basically toast. You're toast. So internet leads, speed to lead is important. Assuming you're the agent, act like your agent. Every communication you do with them, every email, text you send, it's act as if they were a buyer of yours or seller of yours. Like as if you already got them and you're doing work for them. And it will just naturally, and you'll be surprised, they'll just naturally flow that way. If they assume it, they'll start assuming it and it just starts happening, right? And I hate to say this, but remember, buyers are a horse for listings. They are. So if you really want to get buyers off the buyer, I can tell you, every buyer says, I'm not in the market, I'm not in the market, you show them a great house. If they really want that, they can afford, they will move. If they really love it, they will do it, right? So, but houses in front of houses in front of houses. And I do it by text. And honestly, I just find the greatest flip home that just came on and they were like, this is fabulous. And even if they can't afford it, right? I just text them and say, hey, this house came on, I thought of you. I said, I've seen that all the time. Text. I got 20 leads, text. Right? Same house. Why? Because you want them to assume those things. So, or speed to lead, assume you're the agent, act as, and your communication should be assuming that on at least. And remember, they have no loyalty to you because you talk to them on the phone. I want you to understand that there's no loyalty to you if they're an internet lead because you talk to them on the phone. You got to get them in person. In person creates loyalty. So I took text and phone calls with internet leads, and I'm always asking them questions, making them ask me questions back. And I try to get a super complicated question back. They're like, well, we really need down payment assistance. Okay, fantastic. There are several down payment assistance programs. I can't really tell you on the phone because they're kind of a little bit complicated, but I'm happy to meet with you because I can go over the different down payment assistance programs so that you can choose the right one for you and your situation. How's that sound? And I always try to move into a phone call to a meeting. Text, phone call, text phone. And most internet leads will respond to text. text person. Phone call. I try to do the complications. And I try to do the texts where the questions are so complicated, I got a phone call, and then I try to do the phone call to it's too complicated, I got to meet. That's how it works. Very methodical. Right? And I can tell you, I did Zillow back when it was cheaper, but I did Zillow on my team for a long time. I was spending 10,000 a month. I was getting 6 to 1 return. Whatever I spent, I was making 10 a month, get 60 back. Right. And I trained agents to do it. I can get to 6. I can only get to 3 to 1. But if you're gonna do internet leads, speed the lead, responsive. No, don't assume loyalty. Assume you're there. You have that mentality, and just assume it's going to be a numbers game. I'm going to get. If you're getting 1 to 2%, you're doing decent. If you're getting 5%, you're doing awesome. So pure numbers. Pure numbers. And if you can master this, that's like 1 to 2% is average. If you master this on the phone, you'll get to 5%. That's how you. That's why I say, how do big agents do it? They move it down. Right? If I'm on the phone, I'm not getting 1 to 2%. I'm getting 5%. If I'm doing open houses, I'm getting 2 appointments, not 0. That's something right. That's how they change. Right? Sense? Or you can just be like Laura, just be super talented already, and just have it already, and you just do it, right? So, no. No, I'm sure she's put a lot of time and thought into how she does things, and I love her because she's super present in her meetings. And I think you engage with people at a very high level. This is a very high level. And so because of that, she connects with people at a high level, right? So that's how. Any other questions? Ahas. Well, my question to you is, what are you going to work on first?
I don't think I've ever I subconsciously do.
Yeah, that's the thing. The good agents, you kind of something to do this. Yeah.
I could kind of pause myself with the accent.
Yeah.
But volume, I've never thought about volume.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not allowed to speak in person, so I would ever thought about that. Like, I always just speak to myself. Or,
Yeah. And so you can see how
do I speak like you?
no, you're very so that if you come across and you were talking to me, I'm like, this guy is right. I'm gonna be
I'm
like
a fast talker, but I slow down a lot.
okay.
I speak Spanish as my first language.
Yeah.
So I have to catch myself.
Yeah.
But not volume. I never considered that.
So what else?
I hear a match a lot.
I hear match a lot.
When I'm in there. But I.
Mirror matching is one of the easiest things to do, just be observant of what they're doing. Do it similarly. Right? It sounds weird. I know it sounds kind of salesy. But it's just that's just how you engender trust. It's how the mind says this is a trustworthy person.
Right.
And Michelle and I are two of the top recruiters in North Carolina, Hawaii, and a lot of this because we implement a lot of these things with people. When they sit down with us for an hour, we got them. I think I have like a 75%.
I think the overall thing in real estate too is really you're taking a step back from you because it is all about them.
Yeah, it's all about them. That's what you need. The platinum rule. It's about them. It's not about you. And so you're gonna. Oh, thank you. You're gonna let go of your ego. You're not all that in a bag of chips. I know you think you are, but you're just not all that in a bag of chips. Okay. And no, everyone doesn't like you. Okay. I know you think everyone likes you, but no, it's not true. Okay. So if you could take that ego back and say, I'm going to treat them how they want to be treated. I'm going to talk to them how they want to be talked to. Then you're going to have a much bigger. So question to you, what is your spouse's disc personality? Or your significant others? Vince?
Yes.
S?
S.
S.
C?
I-S.
IS? What's your personality? Is it opposite? Is it opposite? So do you understand why you're having communication issues? So my wife is an S. I love her, trust her. She's owns her own business, super sick. But if I want to do something like move, I just want to move. I want to sell her home and move to another neighbor. I want to do that. For her, she's S. That's like. And I'll be bothered. I'll be like, where am I at? She's like, no, we're not. No. And you can see the arguments that happen from those kind of discussions, right? So So, I got to experience 20 some odd years married now. So I'm like, okay, we've had conversations like no partially. So now I know if it's a big deal, I plant the seed. Like 2 years ahead. I have to be very forward thinking because I like, when it's so big, I gotta like plant the seed so we don't have. So I'll be like, hey, I was looking at this house in this neighborhood. I was showing a home and I found this, I saw this house in the neighborhood and I thought it would be great for our family. She's like, oh, why? I was like, oh man, it was across from the park. There was a running trail next to you, I like to run. And I really like that. It's like, oh. And it's only 8 minutes from my office, which was like, bingo, right? And she's like, oh, okay. And there's some discussion. And I'll come back later, it's like, hey, I was thinking we should really cut expenses. If we downsize, I can make it a cheaper mortgage. And I feel that we'll have more discretionary income, we can do more fun stuff. Right? And she wants stability and she wants security. And I say, lower our mortgage, more money, feels safer, right? So I'm planting things that move her along. Does that make sense?
Did she call you on that though, quite a bit?
No,
God, you're just
yeah.
in me again.
It's like, you do that KW stuff, right? You drink the Kool-Aid, but you come all the way around because I'm like gratitude, happiness, let's do this, right? I make my daughter do gratitude, she struggles with depression, so I was like, gratitude, 3 gratitudes a day. So we get on the phone, we do 3 gratitudes, right? So but she's coming around, especially with my daughter and stuff, and the gratitude, it's like these things work, they just work, right? They just you go from sad to happy, you just gotta do gratitude and you gotta do affirmations and you just gotta think happy, right? And so take the stuff you're learning and put it in your life. When I kind of sat down and I said, hey, I understand how you it was an epiphany. I was doing great with my business and I realized I'm rocky with my wife because I'm going fast and she's like super slow. I was like, what is this costing me? And then I realized, oh, she's an SC. I've just been harshing her for the last decade. Literally been harshing her for the last decade, right? So I said, let's have a talk, and we moved. And I said, I want to move for these reasons and this stuff and this and this and this is why. And I want to cut our mortgage and I want to get out of debt and I want to be a millionaire. Literally, and we did that now 8 years ago. And I said, we have a great house. We had a 4,000 square foot luxury neighborhood, private park, all this stuff. But we afforded it. But they're like, we're burning all our money building my house. I said, I want to downsize. Our kids don't even use the park or pool anyway. They're teenagers. Like, we go to a little house over here, have a public park next to us so we can still have a park, and I have a running trail, which I like, and it's closer to our works. And it's half the cost.
Right.
So you don't have to work hard, I don't have to work hard, and we could save money, and then we could save and pay off debt. And so we said, okay, so it's like, let's just pay off what debt we have. So fair, got diligent. And then we realized our big house, because it's PG&E and it was West Sac, but like, it was in the summer, it was $700-800 a month to maintain that PG&E air conditioning bill. It was ridiculous, right? So I said, and I forgot and realized like, we can't reduce our expenses other than just moving, because some of it's just probably built into the house, right? Mortgage, all those bills. So I said, okay, if we downsize, move here, we cut it. Literally, it was like cutting it by 40% if I did this, right? And so I put the numbers, that's C. So I said, hey, look at this thing we're doing now, look at this. And it's going to cut our energy bill because these houses are more efficient, and we're going to put solar on it. And I all that. And I put it there, and we moved, and we made this 2-year goal. I mean, we made a 5-year goal to be a millionaire, net worth $1 million within 5 years, and this is 8 years ago. And we said, okay, and we got on the same plan because I put a plan in front of us. Let's do this, and we actually did it in about 2.5 years. So net worth $1 million in 2.5 years. Year 5, we hit about 3 million net worth.
That's an awesome testimony. Awesome.
So when I tell you about your spouse, all this stuff can also work for your spouse. Get on the same page. If you can get on the same page and really go in the same direction, that's when it's powerful. And I know couples and families are like, man, that couple they work together and they're strong and they got each other's backs, and man, they're strong and they're going places and their family's strong. It's because they're on the same page. They went on the same page. It's because one person in that household said, I'm going to change our relationship and we're going to get on the same page, and I'm going to adjust how I think of what I do to make sure they're happy. Right? And if you really want to make your spouse happy and love them, then talk to them like they want to be treated. Treat them like they want to be treated. And you have the power. I'm giving you the power to do that. It's literally the power to treat them the way. Understand the personality. Understand what they fear. Understand what they like, and give them more like and less fear. Right. So, all right. Sorry. Any other questions? Sorry, I talked about that was not really real estate. But it is true. I mean, I've seen a lot of realtors' careers derailed because of family issues, because of spousal issues. Yeah, because you know, if you suck at home and it's bad at home, your business will start sucking.
Yeah.
Right. And I've seen it both ways. Right. So just make sure everyone's on the same page and really on the same page, like goals down.
Are there any books that you can recommend about mirroring?
About learning this?
Yeah, resources.
I would start with the first one I did. I mentioned. Everyone communicates through connect. That's on Maxwell. He'll give you a much more in depth than I went into, but he's going to give you. He also has now a 16 laws of communication, 10 laws. He has another book out called Laws of Communication. I would start first with this. This is an easy short read, and then I would do the laws, and you'll start seeing. It'll start giving you a lot of internal thinking about how to communicate better. Right? Connect with people better. Right?
And also, is there a discount, like if you want to take this test, because I haven't done it in a long time, so like, to be doing.
I'm gonna send you
Okay,
Okay,
yeah.
perfect.
Sure.
Thank you.
Here's the thing about the disc. The disc problem with the disc is only questions, so it can be highly manipulable. And I found a lot of people answer questions based on not how they really are, how they want to be. So you have to take your ego out and say, I'm not that. Let's be real. I'm not that person. I want to be a D, but I'm not a D. Right? And answer the questions appropriately. If you really just come to it, don't overthink it, just answer the questions, you'll get a better picture. And the goal, remember, taking this is so that you get a clear picture of what you are. That's what you need first, because that's going to change how you respond. If you're an S as a real estate agent, that's fine. The good part is 50% of your S, so you can empathize, right? The hard part is you're going to lose 50%. So how do I do it? You know, you're going to probably have to speak faster and louder. Those are two things that are going to happen. You're going to have to get in the habit, because 50% of people you're going to talk to are going to need to talk faster, and you're going to have to speak louder. That's just the way it is. Right?
Does
So,
anybody else want that? Would anybody
This.
like?
so I just thank you everyone for your time. I appreciate it. I hope this helps. Don't think it's going to happen overnight. These are the skills I say it takes people to go from an okay realtor to a great realtor. And it takes time, because you have to be able to do it in real time. And if you do it in real time enough, it becomes muscle memory. And you're like, man, those people just speak well, and they just do things well, and they connect with everybody. I put anyone in the room and they convert them. It's the reason is because they're just naturally, not naturally, but they've done it so much that they've mastered all those things, and they can whip it out without even thinking about it, right? So, all right.
Thank
Thank you, everyone.
Right.
All right, those are some problems. So we're going on.